Welcome to another episode of Health Your Way podcast, where we discuss health issues ranging from physical, mental, emotional, as well as current facts. And today we're going to be talking about postpartum recovery, what every mother needs to know. And please allow me to introduce you to my guest, Tijana Daly, a holistic nutritionist, a certified personal trainer, and the most important of all, a mother of two. So thank you for joining me again. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yes. So one of the reasons for my viewers is why I invited Miss Daly to join is she just recently had a child. So I really thought that it would be nice to get a viewpoint of someone that's going through this current phase, as well as understands the nutrition aspects and the training that's required to maybe help you recover easily. So I guess for a lot of viewers that are listening and watching itself is, what is postpartum care? Like, can you give us a high level description of what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question because usually people tend to kind of gloss over it because we focus so much on the baby, right? So postpartum care encompasses, to me, really everything, right? It's how the mother recovers not only physically, but mentally adjusts to their new role as a mom. And obviously, the emotional component as well. So it's really like emotional, physical, mental, everything to get you back to normal. Or your new normal.
You know what? That's right. I like the way you said it, your new normal, because you can't really go back because now you have a child and your body's different and your mentality is different. You have to deal with that going forward. I guess, like speaking as a fitness expert, as well as nutrition, why is it important for women to really start taking care of themselves after giving birth? Because a lot of people, I've never been pregnant, so I can't say anything, is that they usually neglect their health and their mental health and just focus on their child. So I guess the question is, why is it important?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And you hit the nail on the head because people have this baby and everyone's talking about the baby. You're focused on the baby, but who's taking care of mom, right? So
Yeah.
if you're not taking care of yourself, like what I see really commonly with my clients, for instance, is like they'll put everything into their kid, but they're not taking care of their own nutrition or they're not making time for movement. And when you're not giving, you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're giving everything to your kid and you're forgetting about all these other things, it's going to circle into you not showing up as your best.
And that's true. And I can respect that because even, let's say if you don't, I think people want to be the best mom. And by being the best mom, you also have to consider yourself. Because if you're healthy, you be good for your kids as well. And, like a lot of people look at you and they're like, okay, you're doing they watch you on Instagram or Facebook and they're like, okay, how does she do it? Like, I guess in your own experience, what were some of the major challenges? What are some of the major challenges you faced when you were starting your own recovery?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the first time around, my oldest son's almost 4. It was really like a new thing, right? It was a new normal, like we said. So that just accepting that your life will never be the same and that you making time for fitness and nutrition as a mom is totally different than making time for fitness and nutrition regularly. That's really important. But the second time around, I'd say it's easier in that way, in the sense that you kind of know that your time is so precious.
Okay.
And I think that it's called Parkinson's law, right? Where we adapt to the amount of time that we're given for any given task. So for instance, if I have worked with clients and I'm like, if you don't have any kids, like how come, you're not making time for your prep? And then they genuinely run out of time because they think I have all this time. But when you're a mom, you're like, you know what? Like, I know that I only have these 2 hours a day to like train, meal prep, do the kids' lunch, whatever. So you make time for that. So I think the time management is really, really key component of that, for sure.
I guess then that's good. That's really good to know, because you're right. Like, I think you actually hit the nail on the, for me. It's like, if you don't have kids, how do you not have time, right? And if you have kids, because you have limited time, you learn to be a little more time management. So then there's days that when you said you have to organize this and that, you must be exhausted. So how do you keep yourself motivated mentally to continue doing that and not just, I guess, burn out?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So when I started working with moms, and obviously when I became a mom myself, I realized that the problem with a lot of fitness and nutrition plans is that they've really focused on anyone can be like, okay, great, you're going to eat like this and train like this. But if you don't build the foundation of proper sleep and rest and just really like building a routine slowly. So for instance, if you're a mom, you can't say like, okay, you're going to meal prep like 5 times a week and work out 6 days a week, you have to start with the foundation of proper sleep. So that's where the energy part comes in. So you have to just hit realistic expectations early on, right?
Okay.
And then once you're building up those baby steps, then you can add on some more. So for instance, for me and my clients, one thing we do is, again, like first thing we make sure before we add on like too much complicated stuff is like, how is your sleep quality? Like, are your energy levels feeling better and better? And once you're feeling good there, you're not going to be overwhelmed to like go further.
So then I guess for you is this, when to stay consistent, you have to be realistic. So you in a sense, what I understood from you is like you take it step by step, you start off something small, and then when you master that part, you work on the next step, and that's how you stay consistent, really.
Exactly. And that comes back to what you said about like, how do you stay motivated? Because if you're like from the get-go, so many moms do this. They're like, I'm going to go on the 6-day-a-week plan and I'm going to like, you know, they're going to like do something crazy, right? Like from the get-go, they're going to lose motivation because they're not going to hit those targets. They're going to start out and think like, well, you know, I'm not good at this, so I'm just going to give up. But when you give yourself baby steps, you're motivated because you're like, I'm reaching these goals and now I can, you know, set some new ones.
I like that. And I think even when you're saying that, it comes to one of my questions I was thinking is a lot of people looking at you like, okay, well, it's easy for you because you've done it before. But then there's people that may have not, are pregnant, are
Mm-hmm.
about to have kid, and they're like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to do that. Like, I guess, what can you say to them to let them know that they can do it? Like, it is possible. And I think watching you, they're like, okay, well, you could do it because you're a fitness expert. For regular people like other people out there, maybe myself, how do you advise them that they can actually do this?
Well, first of all, it comes back to like having, when you don't, the unknown is always what causes us anxiety, right? So if
Yes,
you have the right plan and the right tools, and obviously help someone to help you guide you along that, then you're going to have a lot more clarity and less anxiety around the whole thing, right?
I
I think that
see.
where people go wrong is they associate, especially women, like weight loss with like suffering and dieting and like lots of excessive training, you know? So
Yes.
in that sense, of course, they would think like they can't do it. But if they're on the right path with the right plan, then it's a lot easier to digest.
Oh, I get it. So basically, if this is something you want to do, make sure you have the right person or someone that's actually experienced to guide you in this process. Because sometimes that makes a lot more sense. I get it now. And then for me, I find that, we always talk about mothers doing this. Like, what about the significant other, like their boyfriend or their fathers or whoever, their family member? Like, I guess the question is really, how can they help guide the women? Like, how can they help guide the women to deal with postpartum care?
Yeah, that's another really great question. So when your baby's young, for a lot of women, most women, they're the primary caregiver, right? Like they're, you know, especially if you're nursing your baby during the night and then your baby's really like with you during the day, you're the one who's caring for the baby. So your husband should really care for you. And I'm really lucky because my husband is really great like that. Like he'll step up and do like the other things that make it harder to get done, like when I have the
Aww.
baby, right? So for instance, like meal prep, I'd say like helping with that is huge. Making sure that like, you know, keeping the place tidy, like all these things that need to be in place for around the house. That way you have more time to actually execute what you need to do. And when it comes to like the work, like for instance, like that's going to help you actually like make the time to like get your workouts in, get your meal prep in. But when it comes to like the emotional support,
I was thinking, yes,
I
good. I
would
was
I
going to
would
ask
say,
that.
yeah. So in that sense, I think encouragement goes a really long way. I think that I'm not sure if you're familiar with the love languages, like that book.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I did a test on that one. Sorry. Go ahead. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Good. So the words of affirmation are huge. I think for anyone, whatever your love language is, it's nice to just hear like, babe, I'm so proud of you. You're doing a great job.
Yes.
And say like, especially in relation to not just your fitness, but you know what, you're being a great mom. Just encourage them and let them, because women feel guilty, even if they're crushing it with their workouts and meals and they're a great mom, they might think, oh my God, but what if I'm taking away from my kids? So I think that reassurance goes a long way.
And to touch on that, and that's a great point. When you said they feel guilty, I think that's also one of the misconceptions I see. I've heard and see is that you hear about how a lot of women will make other women feel bad when they start taking care of themselves as well, and that can prevent them from even really trying to. Yeah, that can really be a very detrimental to their health. So besides that, is there other misconceptions maybe I haven't heard of that women should not take heed of when they need to start considering their postpartum care?
So the women should not take which off?
Heat up, like they should not be concerned about, like, for example, when you hear that, oh, you know where I'm going with this, like, okay, you're being a bad mom because you want to go to a gym or stuff like that, right? Or it's like other things. I'm not like maybe people have heard of that, maybe it's within your realm that I haven't heard, that you want other people to say, no, don't put and don't put faith in that. It's not, it's not right. And you're allowed to really take care of yourself. I think that's where I'm going with this.
Yes. Okay, great. So I think that the best way to really like get rid of any of that is just to make sure you associate with the right people, because
Nice.
I would say most moms actually, this is why personally I'm a big believer in, like, obviously, like, your environment is going to, help you grow to what you want to grow. So the thing with most moms and mom groups I find is that they tend to go that direction of like a little bit of judgment when it comes to like taking care of yourself. If that's the case, I would say the best thing you can do is just remove yourself from any of that kind of mentality and put yourself in the right community that's going to help you succeed. So for instance, like I mentioned, if your spouse is on board, amazing. Make sure that the mom friends you have are also going to be encouraging to you. And if you feel like someone is kind of not on the same page, then quite honestly, I don't think that's a good use of your time, because the more someone is going to nourish that aspect of you, the more it's going to grow.
And I guess, and just to sidetrack for a second, I think for me, like maybe I'm asking you a personal question. I don't understand why women will go on top, I guess, why women will shame another woman for trying to take care of themselves and think that's taken away from the kids. Like, I don't get that. Is it not taking care of yourself, helping the kids because they can see a healthy environment?
Well, that's a great question. I think that a lot of conflict or a lot of disagreement comes from misunderstanding. So I think that when moms make those judgments, it's not their place to make those judgments anyway, about
Okay.
other moms, but they might think, oh, because they're not living that kind of lifestyle, or maybe they're trying their very hardest and still don't feel adequate enough with what they're doing for their own kids. They think, well, how could this person be taking away from it? But
Okay.
I'm,
I know
yeah,
it's a difficult question, and I didn't expect you to have an answer. I think it was just something I wanted to bring it out, and for a lot of people listening, is that
yeah.
it does exist, and if it does exist, and you're around that, based on what you said, and also common sense is you don't want that kind of toxicity around you. So surround yourself with people that are like-minded. And
Yeah, exactly.
I was just like, I guess it just takes me back. I'm very disappointed with a lot of people's thought process. And I know that you've taken the time to talk to me. And I know that you're talking about your personal experience and what you've gone through, as well as telling what others could deal with. If somebody wants to reach out to your service, or I guess the question is, where can they find you? Are you accessible? Like, I know I follow you on Instagram, but these people may be interested in knowing where you are.
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I'm going to tie that into like what we just talked about
Okay.
building a positive community, which I forgot to mention. So that's actually one thing that I focus on with my clients is I went through the mom groups where everyone was judging everyone. No one was really understanding moms who wanted to get fit and, even like feel confident in their skin and, understanding them in the sense that like losing weight might help them do that. So anyway, what I aim to do with my coaching with my clients is to really create that community where we're really
Oh,
supportive of each other. It's not like a typical mom's group. Like, we know that we have these needs that we need to fill for ourselves. And most importantly, everyone in that group is going to be on the same page in terms of, we give more to ourselves and then give more to our kids. So that's what I'm all about. That's what I'm all about. And so to reach me, to answer that question, you can definitely reach me on Instagram, Daily Dose of Health, DALY. And through there's going to be a couple different links for different options that I can help you and we can work together.
then the question I have is, when you mentioned the face group, is it for the general public, or is it just for your clients so you can have some safety on that? Like, do you let anybody come into the group, or has to be someone that you vouched already for?
Oh no, it's a private group for my
Okay.
clients. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, basically, you have to be your client. You have to be worth it. She will screen you guys. That's what she's basically
You
saying.
got it.
I
Got to
guess,
be the right fit.
yes, it's good. Again, you said the community is required, and you want to make sure that whoever you bring into that community fits the mentality. I think when reaching out to you, and if they choose to reach out to you, or for the audience itself, what sets you apart from others? Like, I know one of the things that you're very passionate about what you do. Let me not speak on your behalf. Go ahead, please. Let me speak on behalf. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I am definitely passionate about what I do. I think that what sets me apart is that I'm really focused on helping the client achieve a dream come true result. So it's not just about listing off deliverables, as I call it, like, hey, you get a meal plan and you get a workout program. It's like, you get this result and this is the tools we use to get there. So yeah, that's I have a really fierce commitment to helping my clients achieve their dream come true result.
And I think it also helps that some of your clients, you can actually relate to what they're going through, so you can give them your own personal experience, and people can see that. So with that being said, I want to say thank you. I think this is a really good topic to talk about, because I find a lot of women don't know how to start the care, or don't even know what it is. They just are focused only on the child, and they forget about themselves altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. That was a really good topic to cover.
Thank you for joining us today on our weekly episode of Health Your Way podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share with others, and please feel free to comment below and ask any questions on topics we discussed, as well as future topics you'd like to hear about. Have a happy and healthy week, and be sure to tune in next week for the next episode on a Health Your Way podcast.